the best thing for Drake May might be to go to New England, where he can just wash his hands of, the helmet scouting that will happen with the North Carolina quarterbacks. But no, I've brought that point up, Matt, of like, can the Commanders really take another UNC quarterback? The Bears, I kind of forgotten about it. It's been 6-7 years. You kind of forget that they also did that as well. But I do think, when you break it down, Caleb's the best quarterback in the draft. If the Bears are going to draft a quarterback, take Caleb and show him the nicest, penthouse downtown overlooking the lake. He's probably going to be pretty happy. And I would say to him, I do think there is some almost recruiting going on with these general managers and team presidents as it relates to Caleb Williams at this point. Not that he's ever come out and said, I won't play for Chicago or anything like that, but you want to impress upon him your situation. And if I'm Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren, the Bears presentation is, we actually have the best offensive roster for you. The Commanders' offensive line is not good. And they don't have another pick in the top 10 like the Bears do. The Bears could say, hey, we'll go get your former high school teammate, Olu Fashanu, and plug him in a left tackle, or we'll draft Roma Dunze. Like, we're going to build around you with an extra top 10 pick. They're going to get a second-round pick for Justin Fields, most likely. So they really do have the most attractive offer. If Caleb Williams is listening to those things, I think Chicago can spin the best story of, we actually have something kind of nice going on here.
And I'm one of those. We could spin this into a whole NFL thing where I think getting rid of Justin Fields would be a mistake with the draft capital you have. The devil, you can get in a Dunze, Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors. You can grab a stud receiver, get draft equity, get an offensive lineman, and figure it out. But that's neither here nor there. They'll do that on an NFL show. I want to talk about Jayden Daniels, LSU, SEC defenses. Jayden, I had a nice conversation with Brian Kelly out in Mobile, and he said Jayden did a really, really good job after the initial shock of it all coming to the SEC of adapting and making plays. And so for you, how much of watching Jayden Daniels play in the SEC, because we're being fair, Caleb, Pac-12 guy, Drake May, ACC guy, Jayden Daniels probably saw the best of the best, and he's probably got the best tape in terms of what NFL athletes look like to play against.
Oh, absolutely. There's a comfort factor when you do my job of, I watched this guy for 2 years against SEC defenses, and he, this past year, had 50 total touchdowns, rushed for 1,200 yards, really put that team on his back, improved as a pocket passer, improved as a deep ball passer. It does give you a comfort level. You're right, though, and Brian's absolutely right. There were times in 2022, you're watching Jayden Daniels get ragdolled by Alabama defensive linemen. You're like, dude, you weigh 175 pounds. This is not a good idea. This is not good for career longevity. I thought he got better this year. There were still times early in the year, I think it was the Florida State game, in fact, where he's just getting thrown around. And I think we did see that throttle down over the course of the year. And that's going to have to be the case. They do protect you much better in the NFL at quarterback than they do in the SEC, but it takes a little bit of time. You're not getting those calls as a rookie. We saw that with Will Levis this year. So I think for Jayden, there are going to be conversations about the weight and the play style. They're absolutely going to be there. Lamar Jackson's about to win an MVP award. He's not much bigger. And so I think the key for Jayden is to learn how to be slippery like Lamar is. How to use that lean frame to turn sideways. There's a play against the Chiefs where Lamar Jackson just stops, turns sideways, defender scoots in front of him. Jayden's going to have to learn to play more like that and less like Josh Allen. You're not 250 pounds. Let's try to make guys miss.
So my conspiracy theory, and I'm glad this is going to be on tape because it's either going to be right or wrong. And this isn't anything against your mock draft, but I absolutely loathe Jayden Daniels to the Patriots. I hate it for several reasons, and one of them goes back to fit. Jayden Daniels is born and raised in California, started his college ball at Arizona State, transferred to the South and LSU. There is nothing that screams more uncomfortable to me than a kid used to warm weather playing in New England with the elements that he's just not accustomed to. And for that reason and familiarity with the head coach, I would bet the Raiders and Antonio Pierce find a way to come up and draft Jayden Daniels because, one, Antonio's relationship with him at Arizona State, and two, what a fit. AFC West, you play your home games indoors. To me, that's how Jayden's going to thrive, not in November, December, and January at Foxborough.
Yeah, and I love that theory. I didn't do trades in this mock draft. I'm going to steal that one for the next one because I like that so much. Yeah, I'll give you a credit in the write-up. But with New England, I said this on SportsCenter with you yesterday. I think was like, I don't know who to call in New England if I want to trade for that pick. Who's the general manager? Is Gerard Mayo answering the phone? Is Jonathan Kraft answering the phone? Like, who's running the show in New England? That's the hard part right now. So they've always been a tough team to kind of predict what they would do in the Belichick era. They might be harder now because there's no clear cut voice in that franchise right now. To that point, I could see them saying, we're not ready to draft a quarterback. Let's trade out. Let's get an offensive tackle. Let's get a wide receiver. We've got a couple guys here under contract, and Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. Bring in a veteran like a Jacoby Brissett if you have to. But they might be a team that's actually not ready to draft a quarterback yet.
Yeah, and you speak of the receivers in your mock draft after you do the 1, 2, 3 with the quarterbacks 4, 5, and 6. Harrison, Neighbors, Adunze, Chargers, Arizona Chargers, and then Giants. How would you rate overall? Because look, out there at the Senior Bowl, we were like, Luke McCaffrey's a damn good receiver.
Yeah.
Jackson out of Tulane, he's going to be a player in the end. Like, there were a lot of guys that we saw that are going to be later round picks that are going to be good. But then you've got these guys in the first round. I mean, college football is handing the NFL maybe one of the better receiver classes we've ever seen.
Yeah, certainly in terms of that many players being in the top. We've seen great prospects come out. Jamar Chase was certainly one of those pretty recently. But I think this year where you have 3 legit elite players, it makes it so special. And they're all different. It's what makes it fun. Marvin Harrison's 6'4", 210, and he's just this silky smooth route runner. Then you have Neighbors that's 6 foot, 200 pounds, who is uncatchable once he gets the ball in his hands. His yards after catchability are amazing. He's going to instantly be that type of big play weapon. And then Adunze, who is a bully on the 50-50 ball. He's so great running through contact. He tracks the ball exceptionally well. So you got 3 different flavors of ice cream, basically, and you just have to pick which one you like. They're all good. It's just which flavor is your favorite. And it is really special that we're going to see. I truly believe we could see 3 quarterbacks and then 3 wide receivers come off the board, not just because of team need, but because if you're looking at who are the best players available, I have Marvin Harrison as my 2nd best player in the draft. I have Malik Neighbors as my 3rd best player in the draft. And then I have Rome Odunze as my 6th best player in the draft. So these are the players that are certainly worthy of being drafted that highly. And any of them would be a number 1 receiver in most draft classes. They're really that special.
Yes, and if you're sitting there and for one of these teams, Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, Daniel Jones, quarterback's pretty much set. So now you've got the luxury of the quarterback needy teams maybe reaching out a quarterback when the best player in the draft could be the receiver that you're going to get for your franchise quarterback. Speaking of quarterbacks, one of the big conversations we had in Mobile, 5 of the top 10 rated quarterbacks were down there. One of them, Bo Nix, who, here's why I like Bo. You're the scout. I'll toss it to you. But the one thing I love about Bo is the one thing I used when I'm fighting all these idiots that think Brock Purdy isn't a good story. What is the one thing you could say about Brock Purdy coming out of college? He played a lot of college football. Yep. Bo Nix has played 5 years of college football. There's no debate that he is football tested and smart. It showed in Mobile. Will it show on draft day?
It will, absolutely. And it's showing in the interviews already. Coming out of Mobile, talking to teams, my favorite question to ask general managers, who was your best interview? And then who was your worst interview? Best interview so far, Bo Nix is dominating those. People love him. And here's the thing that comes up a lot is he's battled through adversity. He went to Auburn as like the favorite son. Dad played here. You're going to be a legend. And it didn't work. And he had to go reinvent himself at Oregon. And he put in the work to get better. And he put in the work to learn a new scheme and to become a leader to that group, going from the Southeast to the Pacific Northwest, completely changing his environment. And he thrived over the last 2 years there. So scouts I've talked to love that trait in Bo Nix that he has overcome, and that he's accurate, he's intelligent, he's a much better athlete than I think he's given credit for, because he wasn't asked to run a whole lot at Oregon, but you see it when you watch him play. And I wrote this week. Jared Goff was a comp that comes up a lot when you talk to scouts about Bo Nix, somebody that's just going to be very, very steady. The moment's never going to be too big for him, but like a more athletic Jared Goff, where he can at least get out of the pocket and give you some plus yardage there.
You have him 12th to the Broncos. I think Sean Payton would salivate if Bo Nix, and by the way, he's bigger than I thought, standing up next to him.
Right.
So Bo Nix and the Broncos and Sean Payton and the quarterback whisperer, you talk about like fits made in heaven. That could really be it for the Broncos.
Yeah, timing based. Everything's timing based with Sean Payton, and Bo Nix does that well. I mean, we saw it at Oregon. They do throw a lot near and at the line of scrimmage, let their guys go make plays, but the timing based stuff, that was what blew me away, especially the last day in Mobile. I thought the timing based accuracy from Nix, we were seeing a lot more red zone install, a lot more one on ones. He really thrived in that environment. And I think if Sean Payton's going to go with a rookie quarterback, it has to be someone who's experienced. That's why I think Bo Nix over JJ McCarthy for them, because you need the experience factor if you're going to come play for Sean Payton. A guy who's thrown 400 passes the last 2 years like JJ McCarthy, you just haven't played enough football yet to come in and be that guy right away.
Give me something I can feel.